Instagram. Oh. High Level is a full CRM and marketing platform, and I've used some of the best in the SaaS industry. And it's time for Revening's Wednesday. Welcome to Wednesday, Revenue Party people. We've got hot guests today, and we've got some really hot topics. We're going to be talking about body, brand, GTM. Just you wait. I know we've got AP in the audience. Who else is tuning in? Let us know who you are, where you're tuning in from, what you do for a living, anything else you want to let us know. I know it's lunch hour for many of us on Eastern time, but it is morning for those of you in California and on the Pacific Coast. So just let us know, where are you tuning in from and what are you up to? Let's make this conversation relevant for you. But of course, before we bring in our guests, I want to make sure and tell you a little bit about one of my favorite companies, Cherry Assistant. So Cherry Assistant is a VA placement company, and I work with them myself. So right now, this show is being powered by Cherry Assistant. Cherry Assistant is, they do a lot. So I'll play an ad at intermission in between our 4 topics, and you'll see all the different things they do. But for me, what they do is they get into Canva, help create images like you're seeing now, these overlays for my live stream, as well as our clients' live streams. Because if you didn't know, or as you probably already know, here at Reveting, we help businesses go live on LinkedIn, and then we repurpose that content into short form video, podcast, newsletter, blog, and so much more. So we want to help you do that as well. And I couldn't do it if I weren't able to delegate to really great VAs that are aligned with my need. So scan that QR code or just go to Cherry Assistant online. You can go to cherryassistant.com. Let them know that you heard about them from me, Jesse, on Wednesday. And we want to just help you start to delegate so you can focus on what's most important to your business as well. But let's keep those comments flowing. What are you all up to today? Again, we want to know where you're tuning in from. But I also want to talk to you a little bit today about High Level. So High Level, or as we call it here internally, app.reveting.com, because we white label it. It is really helping a lot of B2B businesses, mostly B2C. But where we're coming in is now we're helping B2B businesses get off some of these large, big SaaS players that charge, 5 to 6, 7 figures. I don't know about 7, actually. I've only seen 5 to 6 figures for CRM, marketing automation platforms, and it doesn't have to be that way anymore. Now you can get more nimble, smaller tools that are built around AI and automation, not old school technology that you're paying an arm and a leg for. So we are migrating people from their existing CRMs to app.reveting.com, and then we're helping them optimize it with automations. Lead magnets are very popular, landing pages, but I'm going to show you all of that. You can scan that QR code if you're watching on video, or if you're listening to this later on podcast, just go to reveting.com/high level and try it out for free. So we want to help you either use high level. I mean, if you want to work with us, we'll put you on app.reveting.com and then our team will do it for you. Or you can become an affiliate like we are, where like then you go and resell high level, and it's super easy. There's snapshots. I can tell you so much more if that's something you're interested. But I digress. For now, we're going to go ahead and bring in our amazing guests. Welcome to the show. We've got Christine and Andrew. Thank you so much for being here.
Hello.
Thanks for having us.
Yes.
Absolutely. Christine, first of all, I'm so excited that we just announced on Monday you're going to partner with me on the Women Wave Retreat, October 24th to the 27th.
I know.
We launched the landing page. We can put it out there, but we'll get into that a little more. And since I'm talking about you, we'll just go ahead and let you start with a 2-minute update of, because we've had you on the show before. So we got your full life story, which I'm trying to remember what all you shared then, because we've been talking so much since then. So I've learned so much about you. If you could update the audience a little more about who you are and what brought you to now.
Absolutely. So, hi, I'm Christine LaVopa. I am a health and fitness coach for high performing women, and I'm also a fractional chief health and wellness coach for corporate. So, I deal with teams and I also deal with high performing women. They are my bread and butter, my heart, my soul, my passion. And a lot of the times, high performing women, especially, they put their career and everything else first. Not to say that men don't too, but they put them first before themselves. And usually, it's a lot of your self-beliefs and those inner storylines that dictate that, success is your career, not actually your health and wellness, when it's actually the other way around. And to tell you a little bit about me, I have been a health and fitness coach for almost 23 years. I have 2 amazing little children. My husband is a surface warfare officer in the Navy. So that means we move a lot, and I have built my business around my life. And it's pretty chaotic because we're moving to Spain in like 3 months. So that means that I'm going to be living overseas for 3 to 4 years. And my husband's going to be taking command of USS Berkeley, which is a destroyer in Rota, Spain. He's kind of a big deal, but I don't let him know. Just kidding. So right now, what I'm doing is I'm working with corporate teams, high performing women, and I'm doing a retreat with Jesse, and we're going to be talking about all things personal brand, all things LinkedIn, because LinkedIn has changed this in so many positive ways. I've made so many connections, I've grown exponentially, and I've quadrupled my revenue just by being on LinkedIn, where health and fitness coaches aren't supposed to be, supposedly. And I just wanted to say, we are here. Come build our table, come sit with us. And that's what I have. 5 seconds to spare.
Thank you so much. Yeah. And that's what I'm so excited about with you coming and helping with some of the health stuff at the retreat is we're talking about building a personal brand, especially on LinkedIn. And you are this fitness influencer on LinkedIn, and you don't see a lot of fitness influencers, like you said. I mean, Instagram, yes. TikTok, yes. LinkedIn, not as much. So you've really carved out a great niche there. And I'm excited to do the retreat and talk about these topics with you. But before we do, Andrew, we want to get to know you. You've never been on the show. So we get to know the full life story from birth to what brought you to now that we can't find on your LinkedIn.
Okay. Yeah. So a little background on myself. I'm Andrew Barrow. I basically started in advertising. I run an ad agency that is called Revenue Arc. And I started in the industry actually when I was a kid. I programmed my first website when I was 12 years old on the back of GeoCities, and which is probably dating myself somewhat. That's back when Yahoo was a big thing. And I integrated early ad technology to effectively monetize my website. And I've been in the industry ever since. I helped grow dozens of Fortune 500 companies and working in what are called the holdcos, which are the largest ad agencies in the world. And I have really helped grow different publications and a slew of different medium-sized companies and even some small businesses. And then I struck out my own a couple of years ago, really starting to focus in on helping small businesses and medium businesses grow to new heights. And we have that by uh, really taking what the Fortune 500 already know, and they know it well, and basically applying that to everybody else. And we also have a lot of teaching and that we do with it. And that's kind of where I come into it. My mom's a teacher. My grandmother was also a teacher. And I try to educate people on everything that is digital technology and why it's like way more simple than everyone makes it seem, especially digital advertising. It's supposed to be this very complicated beast. And the irony is it's actually very simple once you get into it. So, but that's me in a nutshell.
He got 4 seconds to spare.
Oh, sorry.
A little bit of time to spare. No, appreciate that. Layla, thank you so much for helping us get through that. And we've got Layla helping in the background. I think I mentioned that earlier, and I'm trying to step away a little more because I usually am here clicking around, as I was telling Christine and Andrew pre-show. But my hands are over here. I'm standing. I'm going to hold the mic as I've been requested to do. So, and let's get into our first topic. So we have really great topics. We're going to combine what we normally talk about, sales and marketing, but with a little bit of health and fitness and body and brand and retreats. But let's start there. So why your health is the ultimate power move for visibility and leadership. So I take working out pretty seriously, maybe definitely not as seriously as I should. But I know that if I don't move my body, I'm not going to feel as well or perform as well during the day. So I'm a 5 a.m.er. I'll wake up, I go walking, or I'll dance. Like this morning, I was like learning some TikTok dances, and oh my gosh, I'm not young like I used to be. Like I can't do dances like that anymore. But it was a great workout. But that's why doing the like retreat and having health and wellness is a part of it is really important to the leaders who are going out there to build a personal brand, because building a personal brand can be very stressful. It can make you question yourself. It can make you feel really insecure. And so it's important that you feel centered as a whole person, that you are eating well, because when you don't want things to come crashing down once you start building your brand just because you're not healthy. But I have my own stories there I could get into, but I'm going to ask you to kick us off on this topic, Christine.
So I just always ask my clients before I start with them. So it's a fun exercise. And Andrew, if you want to do it, this would be fun for you too. If you can just pull out your calendar and tell me where in health and wellness fits in your calendar. And if anybody can do that, put that in the comments. This is an audit, y'all. This is a real life, eye-opening, with love audit. And 9 times out of 10, it's not there.
It's not there.
Right. So if we're talking to high performers, if we're talking to professionals, everybody on LinkedIn, if it's not in your calendar, 9 times out of 10, it's not happening. And then you're scrambling to try to fit it in. And when we think about our health as trying to fit it in instead of a priority, then it just becomes that. We become reactive instead of proactive. And I always say to people that there's so much power in 5 minutes, right? I did not get to where I was today by doing 2 or 3 hours of workouts and eating the perfect diet. There was a lot of trial and error. And there was also times where I needed to just work on being consistent with 5 minutes. There's so much that you can do. You can do for your mindset. You can go outside, go in the sunlight for 5 minutes and do some deep breathing. You could do a 5-minute brain dump. This is especially true for my people that are stress eaters. I have them get a Post-it note, put a big, thick line down the middle. One side says food, the other side says emotion, and you visually separate the food and the emotion that you want. Takes 5 minutes, right? Put these things in your calendar as well. You could do a 5-minute movement snack. I call these micro habits 5-minute movement snacks because you'll remember that, right? Maybe you could do some squats. Maybe you could do walk up and down the stairs on a break. Go walk around your office. Bring a band with you. The resistance bands are amazing. Bring a stability ball. You could put it underneath your desk. There's so many ways and so many solutions. And I love helping others find solutions because a lot of the times our mindset is the thing that's telling us we can't do it. It's the thing that says 5 minutes doesn't make a difference. And I'm telling you it does. You could also look at 5 minutes as fuel, right? Who here gets hangry? Andrew, have you ever gotten hangry?
Oh yeah.
Bessie, have you ever gotten hangry? It's in
Definitely.
the dictionary. It's an emotion that's in the dictionary. It's actually two emotions together. And guess what? When you balance your blood sugar, so carbs aren't the enemy, they're energy. And when you learn how to strategically place them throughout the day, your energy is going to be sustained. So this is one of those things that I teach that is actually a professional advantage. Health and fitness aren't a personal hobby, they are a professional advantage. So when you look at blood sugar from a zoomed out picture, most people think, oh, it's pre-diabetic and diabetic, but no, it's awareness and being proactive. So here's an example. If you eat a protein, a fiber, a vegetable first before you have your starchy carb, your blood sugar will be more steady than it going like this all day. So your blood sugar is going to go like this, but we don't want it to go up and down because that's when the peaks and valleys create a problem. The valley is the hangry. That's when things go awry. Lower emotional intelligence, right? If you're hangry, Andrew, are you taking in good information and receiving it well?
No,
No.
absolutely not.
Right? Or if you are really revved up, right? Are you taking in information well, right? So you want to make sure that it's sustained energy. With movement, there's so much that you can do with functional fitness. So think of things that are human basic movement patterns, or what is that, right? So that's a squat, a hip, a deadlift, a push, a push up, a pull could be a row, a rotation, a lunge, carry. These are things that the human body is designed to move. Get very good at doing those movements. Don't worry about the fitness influencer that's doing a handstand on their pinky. Looks real cool, but that's not functional. And when you take care of your functional fitness and your mobility, how well you move, that is going to be a key to your longevity, not just in your career, but after your career. And I've talked to many financial advisors. My husband's a big finance guy as well. And guess what the number one thing that you spend the most money on when you retire?
Oh, health.
It's got to be health.
You got it.
Bingo.
So it's, of course, cost of living, but healthcare is the number one thing that you are going to be spending money on when you retire. So either you voluntarily pay for it now and put it in that savings bank, I call it. Your health is a high yield savings account. It's a premium insurance plan. You just make daily deposits every day. So if you either voluntarily pay in time or you're going to involuntarily force to pay out of pocket. So how do you want to live your life? And you as a person, that is how you project your leadership and your career. So if you don't take care of you, then how can you help other people? And I always go to this adage of, the oxygen mask. Everybody sees it. They're on the airplane. It's like, put on your own oxygen mask before you could help others. I'm like, as a mom, I was like, I need to help my children. What do you give up? But at the same time, you cannot help your children if you're dead, right? Very extreme, but the health is the same exact way. So it doesn't have to be training every day. I was a former competitor and that was extreme. Make it what fits to your life. And that's what I help individuals do. I help them fit their life. I also go wherever they go. So if they're like, hey, I'm traveling, okay, I'm going to see what advanced do you have parks that you can go work out? Do you have a beach? What's your hotel gym look like? I'm going to do a check of like what restaurants in your area, see what kind of food that's there. And you just think ahead of time because when you make health a priority, it's going to pay back tenfold.
Absolutely. I was eating plant-based for a while, so I had to really think through when and where I was going to eat, especially living in the Midwest. But I know for sure, like if I'm running on empty, my brand is running on empty.
Mhm.
And you can't lead if you're not well, and you can't show up and if you're shut down, right? So health really is the foundation of visibility, and your energy is your brand. So your habits are your strategy. You know, wellness isn't separate from leadership. And that's what I love what you do, Christine. But I'm curious, Andrew, what's your take on all of this?
I completely agree. I think there's, just watching, especially I think our parents and watching how they approached work and just like, the work until you're dead set kind of idea and not prioritizing, especially when it comes to like physical movement, like just watching how things degrade over time. And a lot of people are like, yeah, but I'm old, I won't really care. It's like, yeah, but you could be, maybe it doesn't necessarily extend your life, but your life, your lifestyle, those final years, those golden years become so much better. I compare it to uh, my my brother's in-laws. He's like 90, and they just hiked from what was it? It was from Madrid to Paris. And it's just like they were able to do that in retirement. And that sounds amazing. Or just like enjoying your life versus, I've met quite a few people who are like just in their 70s who are basically on the equivalency of like, just I don't really move much. I'm not really going to do much. And this is kind of the end. And it's just like there's that difference where it's just like, are you going to be sitting in front of the TV all day in your golden years, doing nothing with all the money that you've accumulated throughout your entire career, or you're going to actually enjoy it? And I think that that's why that almost needs to be viewed in parallel. As you're developing more money, you need to actually be taking care of your health, because otherwise all the money you get is useless.
Yeah. Firefighters, there's a statistic, because I work with also military, fire, and police, and they have to stay at the ready, so they have high stress jobs, right? So emotional stress and physical stress can sometimes be the same, because you have an emotional response, but you have to be high stressed and ready. Anyway, the statistic is 1 to 5 years they pass away after retiring, which is wild.
That's crazy.
So if you think about, your job, how manual it is, but also that fight, flight, freeze, when you're living in that daily stress mode, and it's not all stress is bad. So chronic distress, I want to point that out. It's not, we need stress, we need resilience, we need to be adaptable. That's how we learn and grow. But it's chronic distress that becomes the problem. And that's when our hormones in our body shuts down. And when you don't move, and it's the old cliche thing, a body in motion stays in motion, but so does your mind. So your mind body is the connection that you need, and it's your power tool for anything in life.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that that's like dead on, that idea of, they did this study. This was years and years and years ago, where they took this underperforming school in, I want to say it was in Detroit, and I'd studied this in college, and they basically were like, well, we're going to, there was like this, de-emphasis over the last like 40 years of physical education and more emphasis on STEM, which is great. You should be focusing on STEM, but parallel with that. And the test scores were abysmal. They were borderline shutting down the school. And then they introduced, every morning they did like an hour of exercise, and they literally outperformed some of the best schools in the state within a year. That is how fast it is for kids. And I think, obviously it's it takes a little longer when you're older, but I still think that there is that connection. It's like, if you're physically active, your stress hormones are lower. You're not freaking out over everything. You have more of a perspective of the world and of the universe. And I think it allows you to really have that, that health view of like, hey, maybe I should be taking care of myself. And then there's just something about it that helps lift your spirits, and you just perform better, honestly.
Yeah, you show up much more confident too. When you just walk into a room and you're healthy and you feel strong, you just show up. You don't have to tell people. You just show up, right?
That's true.
So like that's one of the things, and and not just for the external, validation, but here's a great statistic too. 94% of female CEOs were athletes at one point in their life. So I'm a phys ed teacher by trade. So when they tell me that they're cutting phys ed, I'm a bit of a flight risk now. So I'm not a phys ed teacher anymore, because we move so often.
Right.
But that's why I had to make this business. But my heart and soul was kids and teaching kids how to learn. And the younger, the better. My 4-year-old can do cleaning presses with 3-pound weights. So she asked me where her protein is and does a pump up before gymnastics, because that's what she knows. That's what she knows. My
Wow.
So like they just see me doing it all the time, and I have like my little gym in the garage, and they battle each other, and my 4-year-old will drag my 7-year-old with one arm around like in a sled. It's wild, but it starts young, right? So the sooner the better, but it's no surprise to me that when you're starting your day with focused movement and how you can channel your energy, that it's going to translate throughout the day as well.
Absolutely, 100%. Thank you so much for sharing. And yeah, I played softball, so I'm
So
part of
did I,
this. Yeah,
girl.
I
So did
lost my
I.
spleen playing softball, but I got the girl out. A little bit competitive from a young age. Let's
Yeah.
move into our second topic, GTM strategy, where we can harness that competition in a healthy manner and
Mm.
launch and grow successfully. Could you kick us off here, Andrew?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think that there is kind of this initial stress when it comes to, launching your own company, getting it out the door, trying to build this entire pathway. And there's kind of these two pathways that most founders go down. One is kind of the we'll build it, we'll grow it, and then or we'll basically build the product, and then they will come to kind of the field of dreams mentality. Not to date myself a little bit,
I
but
love
then
that
there's
phrase.
also the other mentality, which is I'm not really going to care about. I'll just throw money at it, and I think that that's ironically where a lot of things go wrong, because I actually think the first one is actually an easier hurdle to overcome, which is like, yeah, you built it, no one showed up. It's like, yeah, because they didn't know about it, but we can help you with that. I think that that's a much easier problem to manage for us than the other one. And I think it's this, is that when you're building out an overall go-to-market strategy, you have to think about like who's your ideal customer profile. It's the ICP. And it's a very difficult task because you sometimes get into your own head and you try to figure it out. And it's a very difficult process because you don't want to pigeonhole yourself. You're like, well, I want everyone. And it's just like, well, you're not going to get everyone. You have to think about what is the easiest, hackiest. I know it seems odd, but you got to go like, who are the people that like, okay, that's not hard to convince those people. That is your ideal customer profile. That is your initial core group. And then you should build everything around that before you even move to a broader audience. And so you build that initial stage, and this is literally how all theatrical campaigns, movie campaigns, ad campaigns work. Because I used to be in the industry. I worked for Universal Pictures, worked for uh, Warner Brothers. They're all of them my clients at past jobs. And the most fascinating thing is they literally go, oh, they reject that idea of like, oh, we need everybody. They're like, who are the people that are our absolute core? And then let's take it out from there. And then they build out an entire strategy around that. And they just go, okay, so we have these people. What's going to convince them to get in the door? What do we have to do? How do we have to bribe them? Like, it doesn't matter. By any means necessary, we need their butts and seats. And yes, you have to view it as your company, whether or not it's B2B. And you're like, hey, I need to get these companies in the door. It's like, well, I could probably talk to the restaurant down the street and get them in. Great. That's your first target. That's how you should be focusing on it. And then the second one, or Anthony, if you're in B2C and you're focusing on the targeting consumers, it's like, well, I have these handful of friends. Great. If they're not willing to use it, then that's a problem. So that's why they should be your first target, because if they're willing to use it and willing to use it on a consistent basis without you harassing them all day, then you have something. You have what's called product market fit. And so that's how you initially kind of think about it, and you kind of build out an entire idea of like, what is it going to take to get these people in? And then the other thing that you need to think about is, what does your website look like? What is your social media? Like, what is, especially Instagram. I know a lot of people are like, oh, Facebook is old. Facebook maybe, but Instagram is still, I can tell you the stats, it's still insanely heavily used. So Instagram, it's TikTok. I mean, it's always about to be banned, but it's still very present and very relevant. And then anything else when it comes to, just kind of getting the message out there, and just have that as your kind of your social strategy. And then your third that you kind of need to hone in on is, what is the actual thing that's going to make the consumer sticky? And then the last thing is advertising. And that's a key point. And it's ironic because I'm actually talking a little bit against myself, but there's a reason, which is a lot of people view as that I'll just throw money at it. That the reason that's a problematic attitude is that's the same thing as taking steroids, going like, all right, I took steroids, I'm gonna go watch TV for the next 3 hours. It's just like you're not turning into Arnold Schwarzenegger. Like even with steroids, it's and then steroids are effectively the or advertising is the steroids of marketing. It won't change anything if we're sending you to a website and the website's terrible, or if there's no social media presence, or there's no news articles about you, or there's nothing. People are going to get turned off, and then you actually do brand damage later on. And so I think that's why you have to do all the work for that before you even talk to an ad agency or a contractor or anybody like that. I have explained this to every client I've ever taken on. Some clients will be like, yeah, we got it. Don't worry about it. We'll handle it. And it's like, all right, launch it. They literally will light tens of thousands of dollars on fire. And they'll be like, what happened? It's like, well, you didn't do any of the work. So yeah, I would say that in terms of go-to-market strategy, you have to kind of start with that core group, that easy hackable win, and then work your way out from there.
It seems like a lot of people, myself might be guilty. You start wide and try to go narrow instead of starting narrow
and going wide.
Everyone does this. I literally just had a client. They actually, unfortunately, went under, and they literally went through this exact problem where they basically were like, we want everyone. And then they're like, okay, well, and then they started narrowing. I was getting excited, but they didn't fully narrow. They're like, okay, what if we just got everyone inside of their niche? And it's just like, yeah, but you didn't focus on your core. Who's going to be showing up over and over again? And it was an AI company. A lot of these companies have a lot of problems around growth and retention, and they're like, look, we're growing rapidly. It's just like, yeah, but no one's staying. So you're not actually growing. You're just throwing literally money at the problem.
Gotcha. Sorry, I'm told I sounded a little faint, but with that, this has been a really great topic. I want to know what people in the comments think. AP, we love your engagement here. Let us know what you're thinking, AP. But for now, I want to move us into intermission here after topic 1 and topic 2. But before I do, is there anything on topic 2 that you'd like to close us out with, Andrew or Christine?
Yeah.
I want to hear your take on this too.
I mean, I always equate like marketing in like a weight loss journey, right? So you see those quick numbers real fast. You're like, yeah, I lost so much weight. And then you realize it's totally unsustainable. And you get like these fancy supplements that you're just throwing money out the window because it's a very expensive Band-Aid on a bleeding aorta. It's going to happen. It's going to bust.
That's true.
So you cannot sustain unsustainable habits, and money will get you so far. But like you said, the credibility, you got to work from the ground up. You can't just like start throwing money at it. I mean, if you have a lot of money, cool. But my husband is actually in this stage talking about it, and he's starting, because he doesn't have enough things to do with being a commander, but he is going to be he's starting a yachting business, and he's starting a business while he's in active duty. And it's wild watching him build this, the marketing, everything that's going into it. And I see him and I'm like, hey babe, do you take care of yourself today? Hey, you have a really cool wife and she knows about health and wellness. Should you talk to her? So he's one of those people. He needs a lot of spinning plates to feel successful. And when he has downtime, he doesn't deal well with it. So, but I see this a lot. And like I said, social media, it's a beast. Marketing's a beast. And you can get sucked in the vortex hardcore. And that's why I think I'm going to hire a charity assistant, because I need a VA like yesterday. Yeah. So like yesterday. But like, what are your take, Andrew, on LinkedIn? Because I noticed you talked about all the other platforms, and I'm going to go to my Google machine. I know it's true, right? If it comes from Google, it says that LinkedIn and YouTube are the hardest platforms to grow on. What's your take on that?
That's 100% true. So the reason is, and TikTok is an easy platform to grow on because of the discoverability. YouTube doesn't. It's the it's kind of the mindset of when you're on YouTube. It's slowly, actually not slowly, for a fact, it's very quickly becoming a television experience where people are actually watching most of it on TV and they're viewing it like any other streaming platform. Well, the thing is, it's a lean back experience. You want to watch your thing and then kind of move on. It's very hard to get discovered on that. So you have to use the other platforms to feed into that.
Mhm.
LinkedIn, it's mostly because there's a lot of AI generated intensity in there. And, a lot of people will use the Perplexities, the GPTs of the world, and basically just feed in a lot of like content that way. And it leads to, it used to be easier to grow on LinkedIn, but now it's like almost impossible because it's just so much of just like, yep, 10 ways to comment in here. And it's just like, and it's a bunch of not like a lot of tough moments.
You know what's, yeah, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, please.
Interesting is that when you're on there, you're like, you need to learn AI, you have to pivot, you're going to be held back, all these things, but don't use too much AI because you see the M dash, we're going to crucify you. Like, it's just
M dash.
like, you know what I mean? It's just like, whoa, it's like Goldilocks and freaking AI. You got to like use it, but use it enough, but don't use it too much, but be authentic. Like
it's completely insane. It was oddly enough. So Revenue Arc is actually technically two companies. There's Revenue Arc Marketing, Revenue Arc Development, which my brother runs. He's deep into AI. They even have like previews into GPT-5. It's completely insane. Also, that thing is, I've seen previews. It's mind blowing. But I think the thing is, a lot of people have this view of AI will replace us, or AI, it's like kind of like, I'm just going to do authentic self. Just view AI like it's an easier way of thinking about it, especially for a novice, is it's like a computer or any other tool. It's there to enhance you. There's this old adage in AI world. Old is like 3 months.
Yesterday.
There's this old adage inside of AI is people will not be replaced by AI. People using AI will replace people not using AI. And I think that that's the same thing. View it as like, I don't have a website. I don't have a social media handle. I don't have anything. I'm using the yellow pages. That's what it'll sound like years from now, and maybe even 2 years from now, when you're like, oh, I don't use ChatGPT, or I don't use an AI. I don't keep up with AI. Alternatively, if you only do that, it doesn't work, and you will be annihilated in the algorithms because M dashes are slowly being triggered inside the algorithms of like deprioritize this by a lot. And LinkedIn is kind of working on a solution that's going to kind of annihilate a lot of that. So.
Oh yeah, or unlock your fullest potential, or spot on. I use spot on. Give it back to me, AI.
I know.
I like spot on. Now I can't say it.
Well, now the big thing, if you really want to sound authentic on LinkedIn, and something I've been advising clients, is like, if you're LinkedIn, you need to have some, if you can, grammatical errors. Because now the people are like, oh, they actually wrote that.
Your girl is all up for a typo. Trust.
Like forced errors are now like the big in thing. It's like,
put it in your headline. You
should check out my latest carousel today, because I'm not a carousel person, and I wanted the inner critic and the recovering perfectionist was like, because there's so many errors, and I'm like, wait a minute, that will make engagement. Call out my errors. Like,
look human. Exactly.
I know. You could tell, like, squirrel. My brain was like all over the place. But anyway, yes.
100%. But real quick, I mean, you mentioned Cherry Assistant earlier, Christine. So I'm going to go ahead and play this message, and we'll be right back right after this from Cherry Assistant.
This is Mike, also known as Clean with Mike on Twitter. Mike hired a virtual assistant from Cherry Assistant about 2 years ago. Now he has a $50K per month business fully managed by a remote operator in South Africa. His VA from South Africa does the following: closing inbound leads on the phone, Yelp and Google and Facebook, manages his CRM and Go high level, deals with rescheduling, cancellations, any issues, hires and manages the cleaners, and sends them daily reports and updates. Mike has a fully cash flowing business managed by a remote operator for only $8 an hour. You can also hire a US equivalent worker in the Philippines, South Africa, Latin America for a fraction of the cost with Cherry Assistant. Be like Mike and grow your business with offshore staff.
With Cherry Assistant, it's pretty awesome. They do a whole bunch of things. But here's a menu of services. There's lead generation, CRM management, prospecting assistance, sales presentation preparation, data entry and cleanup, customer support, project management assistance, And there's going to be another page that flips on here in a second. But they also help me with social media, video editing. There's so much. And, if you are looking for someone to even like manage and train your VAs, essentially,
Like training a chat GPT, right?
yeah, exactly. I'll digress. I don't want to go into that, but you should like manage and train your VA when you work with Cherry Assistant. And then you can work with them to make sure that they know exactly what you want. If it's your first assistant as well, then like you're going to want to get them into your email and really trust them. And I know that can be hard for a lot of people, especially women. I hate to say that, but at least in my experience, letting go of any power has never been an easy thing. But the more we delegate and let go, then the faster we can grow. And I digress. But AP was asking how he can become an affiliate on High Level. So with High Level, I want to mention, and I mentioned this earlier, it's a CRM and marketing automation platform. And I'm an affiliate. So basically you get a 40% cut on whatever you sell, which is a pretty good cut. And when you sign up for High Level, you can go to reveting.com/high level, get the 30-day free trial. Within the app, you can become an affiliate and you just get an affiliate link. You go like to the settings, you basically click that you want to be an affiliate, you give it your bank information so it can send you money, you get a link, and then you start sharing that link and you get people to sign up for High Level on your link, much like I'm asking you to sign up for High Level on this link. So it's all the same thing. And with High Level, the really interesting thing is that it's an agency platform. So when you sign up for their basic plan at $97, you get 3 accounts, meaning you can have a CRM and marketing automation platform, and 2 of your clients can as well. And it has a lot of the same tools, features, and more than those big SaaS players have. So there's really no need to be spending all that money on tech anymore. You really want to put it into your visibility and your brand and your live streaming and your social media and your marketing. But I digress. Let's get into our third topic, which is why women burn out chasing success.
Ooh,
They're not delegating. And
they're
how are we building something different?
Well, I mean, Andrew, if you want to talk about this, you can too.
I mean, I guess this leads into the retreat. Maybe I should have opened that up a little more.
No, you're good. You're good. I'm just here for comic relief.
Let me explain this for a second. So what women really need to do. No,
yes, please tell us.
I'll leave this.
I'm sure it applies to men too. It's all very similar.
It does. It does. There's just some things that are different. Like we're not little men, so we shouldn't train like little men. It doesn't mean we can't do the same exercises as men. We have a different cycle. Like their testosterone runs in a 24-hour circadian rhythm, sleep wake cycle. We have a 28-day plan. We're a little bit more dynamic. But that means that we can work with what we're given, right? So if you're looking at your cycle, ladies, then 3 days, there's a lot of statistics too. And I worked with a doctor of physical therapy, and he worked with D1 athletes that are females, and most of their injuries occurred right before they menstruated. So that tells you that there's 3 days before you menstruate, you really want to take that in consideration and slow down. You can maybe look at your calendar a little bit differently. You can eat different food. You can, if you're feeling energy, then do it, right? But also keep in mind, if you're feeling a little bit like, oh my gosh, I don't know why I feel so tired today, it could just be your body saying it needs a little bit more rest during this time, right? Not applicable to men, but So, and men, their sleep cycle really, it's very important. So at 4 a.m., that's when your testosterone on average is the highest, right? If you're not getting enough sleep, you're not getting enough testosterone, and just one night of bad sleep can dysregulate your testosterone by 10 to 15% just on sleep. So stress is also in there. So it's just, looking at things at a different, hormones are a major thing. High cortisol, that's going to affect your blood sugar, especially for women. Fasting is not always the best thing for us, right? So I've worked with many women, they're like, yeah, like, I'm too busy to eat. I was so good all day. I'm like, well, what's good? Like, I didn't eat all day. I'm like, well, that's not good. Like, why do we have to think in our mindset that we have to restrict the win? Why do we have to lose to win? What can we add? So a lot of the times we have to think about what can I add to my health to make it better? And 5 minutes, like I said, goes a really long way. but it's also those old storylines. Most of coaching, 80% of them, psychology. Making a program, that's 10 to 15%. When I see these coaches, it drives me nuts. Like, I'm a coach, but you write a program, that's not coaching. That's programming. They're very different. So when you're helping a client work through those roadblocks of the I can'ts, I won'ts, I'm nevers, those are the things that really make a difference. And as a coach, I get to see the outside, the zoomed in picture of what they want to be, and I have to help them believe that they can be that too. So I always tell my clients, "You're an athlete." They laugh at me. I'm like, "No, but you're an athlete." So my version of the athlete has nothing to do with what this is. You want to be your version of what you want to do, and I'm going to help you get there, and I'm not going to let you fail. So I've had a client tell me that the doctors told me she's never going to walk again. She's never going to squat again. In 4 weeks, she was squatting and she was lunging up a hill. And it was all because of that mindset. So if you have the drive for your career, you have the same drive for your health and wellness. So I don't have the discipline and I'm lazy. Not true. It's just that there's a fear base in there, that belief that you aren't worth your health. And that's the thing that we have to get to. And that's what we're going to get to in the retreat. We're going to work down to the root. We're going to get to that core and make sure that you can believe that you can get there too. And I am not going to sit on my soapbox because took me 3 years to get to LinkedIn. My husband told me, go to LinkedIn. I'm like, I'm on Instagram. No one's going to take me serious. All things, da, da, da. And it took me 18 months of consistent posting and a belief that I can get there and help the right person. What Andrew says, I already knew who I was talking to before I got on LinkedIn. And I built my business around my lifestyle as a military spouse. So when I tell you that COVID was the best thing, and I don't want to sound insensitive, the best thing that could have happened to my business. And now I feel like that AI is becoming one of those things where we have to pivot, but you have to use it to your abilities. So think about what you have in front of you, the toolbox, right? What can you do today that's going to help you tomorrow? And if you look at it from a very specific point of view, a 5-minute habit, pick 3 things: one for your mindset, one for your movement, and one for your nutrition. Write them down in the morning. And at night, write down what happened. It's a really cool science experiment. There's intention there. And you can figure out where you're going to go and then build on top of that. So here's what we're going to do at the retreat. We're just going to build a really solid foundation, because if you want to build a dope Pinterest home, you can't build it on sand. We need concrete.
That's true.
I like that.
And we are building luxury brands, and your
Yeah.
brand is you.
Oh, and by the way, Muscle is a luxury brand. Expensive to build, expensive to maintain, and high quality, long lasting material. Your luxury, start building it.
Yeah, I also I think there's sometimes when people talk about muscle and protein and a lot of that stuff, there's this idea, at least I've seen, is that means that you're going to look like very masculine, especially for women. And it's like that's literally not even close to true. You would actually have to take steroids to get to that point. It's not how it would all work. You just look very toned, which I think everybody wants to be. You don't want to be all flabby. So I think that makes sense. One thing that my industry actually, I'm actually one of the outliers as being.
Love an outlier. Let's hear it.
Yeah, I'm an outlier. So my industry, which is paid advertising, is vast majority is female. It's like not even close. I think it's 70 or 80% female at most ad agencies, and then most executive boards shift that. And there's a historical reason as to why it's not. It's actually ironically an industry that used to be very powerless versus what's called the creatives, and the creatives were dominated by men. And they're like, I'll just give the 50s. They were like, well, as women are coming into the market, they're like, just give them paid media, and then paid media became the dominant powerhouse in the industry.
Is that Mad Men? The show Mad Men, is that what it's about?
So Mad Men is that what John Hamm's character did. He's what's called a creative. There's paid media, which is you just decide where the money is spent. You're basically helping your clients buy time and space. And so that, buying a commercial or whatever. Mm-hmm. And that industry, which they control in digital alone globally, is $1 trillion in spend, is vast majority female. And one thing that I've seen time and time again is women at least from my experience, and I'm not going to say this to everybody, don't apply themselves or are very like, I need to be 125% of whatever the qualifications are, or there's an opportunity and they're like, oh, I'm not going to pitch that. We're not at that level yet. It's like, whereas at least most men will apply for things that they're only 40-50% qualified for. And then like, especially if there's like, oh, hey, you have to be this kind of size company or whatever. They're like, doesn't matter. I'm going for it. And I had this conversation with Katie Burgess, who used to be the head of marketing for CW. And she said, more women need to act like middle-aged white men, which is just, you see it, go for it. Just have insane, it doesn't matter. Just have all the confidence in the world.
Totally. 100%.
You got to make the first move.
You got to make the first move.
It's like blind confidence, messy action. Just go, and you're going to make mistakes and you'll make a fool out of yourself, but that's fine because the right people will find you.
It's fine. No one will judge you, especially like,
some might, but that's okay.
I mean, they're not your tribe. They're not your tribe.
Yeah, but they're probably even judging themselves more. They're like,
yes, exactly.
They're like, oh, she's doing this. Oh, I couldn't do that. Like,
exactly.
You can have a whole podcast on trolls, and I will tell you about the trolls that I've received on LinkedIn. It's insane.
We need to make comments unreadable again. I don't know why people read, like, it used to be back in the day, like a long time ago, before social media, especially TikTok, encouraged you to just be in the comments. It was like no one was in the comments at all. And people were just like, oh, don't read the comments. It's full of trolls. The trolls never left. We just went in there for who knows why. And now we're all in there going like, that's not true. It's just like, it's all trolls. Don't feed the trolls.
They get fire. Yeah, they do. It's all projection. Every time, every single comment that I've got, it was always a projection. It had nothing to do with me. But also, thank you for giving me so much power from looking at my picture that you had. I evoked so much emotion in you that you had to drop your 2 cents at my door.
It's modern day construction site wolf whistle. It's just like or catcalling. It's just like, that's all it is. It's digital catcalling, which is so much worse because you can hide behind the screen.
Exactly. It's like, you would never say that to my face.
The LinkedIn is just a whole other.
Oh, it's a beast.
But anyway, this is gonna really. I want to hear everyone from the comments. Like AP, he's like, what did he say? He said, I need to act more like a middle-aged.
I saw that. It was hilarious.
Yes, you do, AP. He says, and I say this as a Black gay dude.
I love it. I love it.
Yes, AP, we are with you. But let's move into our third topic. Wait, we just did this.
Yeah.
Let's move into our fourth topic. Revenue growth, strategies to scale smarter. Okay, so we've just talked about getting in alignment, you know, what we need to do to like focus on our body and on ourselves. But now revenue growth. Can you kick us off here, Andrew?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think the biggest thing that a lot of people think about revenue growth is that there's kind of that, again, two sides, which is one is I'm just going to focus in on growing my audience, have absolutely no business model and figure it out later. That's crazy because once you introduce that business model, there's generally a negative reaction. So you need to at least lay some level of the groundwork of your revenue when you're starting. And then there's that other attitude, is like tax everybody to death. The biggest thing that I think when it comes to revenue growth, and this is something I always advise my clients on, is give at least if you can't give like options, give the illusion of options. So one thing and don't reveal how the sausage is made. Like no one wants to know that. It's just like, oh, here's the cost for this and this and this and this. If you break it out like that, clients, especially if you're in the B2B realm, they will rip it to shreds. Versus you're just go, this is the cost, this is what it is. They'll be excited about it. The other thing to think about is when you're initially scaling your offering, be okay with just barely covering your expenses. I think you can always kind of go reform your costs later in B2B. B2C is a little different, but when you're talking about pitching other businesses, just go like, I need so many clients in the door. Don't give it away for free. I think there is that idea of like, I'm just going to give it away for free and it'll all work out. The problem with that is that then they will always use you. You won't get as much out of it. But I think it's the idea of just initially getting in someone's door for a very minimal cost, and then learning from that. And then you scale it up from there slowly. So initially it could be like, hey, we're going to be charging somebody $50 a month for this. And you kind of, you can even cap it, which actually helps for a marketing perspective, is only the first 100 clients get this for $50 a month. And it's like, after that, it goes up. You don't have to reveal by how much it goes up. It's just going to go up. And then maybe the next tranche is like up to the next 50 is $100 a month. And you keep going like that until you start seeing negative returns. This is what actually Disney, oddly enough, does, is that they raise their prices for their parks enough until they start to see a little bit of a pushback, and then they stop. And then they'll stop for long enough until they can see that the numbers of capacity are back to normal, and then they'll raise it again. And they do this at a level just to make sure that they can keep the consumers coming in. So when it comes to revenue growth, that way, when you're setting your prices, that's really, 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 really critical. The other thing to think about, especially when it comes to revenue growth, is it doesn't necessarily have to all be one thing. I think that there is this idea of like, I need to make all my money on this, and this is how I'm making my money, and that's it. You should think about multiple revenue streams. So when we were first starting our company, we were like, hey, we're going to be charging flat rates for managing people's budgets. It's going to be so many thousands of dollars a month, and that'll be it. But what we realized is there were so many other ways to make money, and we diversified our portfolio of products to the point that now we actually offer our services for free. And we actually make quite a bit of money out of that. It's a complicated way of doing it, but you really have to kind of think outside the box when coming up with different revenue streams. So it could be things like, oh, well, you're running a CRM. How many millions do you have? If you have a ton, if you have millions, you could sell that data to advertisers who can then use that for their own marketing purposes. If you have a slew of, let's say, you have a really popular website, and you're like, hey, popular website, it's not doing that great in terms of growth. Well, get a lot of other people in for advertising perspectives, or hey, upselling is always also a key one. That's it.
Upselling. Yes. Yes, because it's so much easier and cheaper to upsell to existing business than to go find new business. But I digress, because time has really gotten past us. I think
it
we've
went
got 3 minutes here, and we just wrapped up our fourth topic, and want to make sure we do the guru of the week. And so let's get into it. We have a guru of the week slide prepared just right before the show. So I'm going to put it up. Could you both tell us why we should go follow these people?
Yeah, Andrew, you can go first.
Sure. Follow Misha. He's literally one of the most well-known people in the advertising industry. He's worked on every kind of client you can imagine: Activision, Dockers, Levi's, Principal Financial Group. I think right now he's working with Bear Paint. He's worked at almost every single major holdco, very similar to me, except much more seasoned, and really knows the industry inside and out, and posts pretty interesting stuff about how advertising really works under the hood.
Love that. And I can go now if that's cool. Okay. Yeah. Dr. Carolyn Frost, she's a friend of mine. She's incredible, blew up on the LinkedIn space. She talks about health and wellness in the workplace, but a lot about personal growth and personal development. And she does a really, really good job about how to explain it. She's also doing a cohort right now for group coaching, and I'm going to be a guest speaker in one of her groups as well for health and fitness coach expert for personal development. So check her out. She's amazing. She posts high quality visuals too. And she's just a doll. She's a mother of 4, very real, very authentic. And she just rose up on the LinkedIn space, and you won't be disappointed. She's great to follow.
I love that so much. Thank you both for sharing your gurus of the week. We'll tag them in the comments, and everyone should go follow them. But real quick, in 1 minute, could you both let listeners know how they could reach you if they wanted to reach out after the show? And also just a little bit of a blurb of what exactly it is that you do and that you could offer them. So we'll start with you, Andrew.
Sure. Please go to revenuearcmarketing.com. You can book time with us there to learn more about what what we do in depth, but basically all we do is we help you with your marketing strategy, especially around, and we run your paid media campaigns. So we are effectively an agency that runs your paid media, and we've worked with a slew of different clients. And the one kind of interesting thing about us, and I won't take too much time, but just to do this little tease, is we actually cost nothing to manage your budgets. It's a very complicated business strategy that we came up with that works, but literally it is free to use us.
Wow. Drum roll on that. Well, yeah,
right?
everyone should go follow up with them and learn more about that.
Follow up free? Shit. Sorry. So I work with high performing women, and I also work with teams. So you can find me in ChristineLaVopa.com, all the services there. I work with your nutrition, your exercise, your stress management. I'm a one-stop shop coach, and I have very different ways that you can work with me. And as far as teams, I'm working also with another company, and I'm doing a newsletter. I do videos, and we do Zoom calls. I also have my own team of people. So I have mental performance experts. I have sleep scientists. I have stress resilience experts that are on my team that I get to farm out and contract them out. Said, hey, can you talk to this group because they really want to know about XYZ? And it's very intricate down to exactly what your company needs, because you need health and wellness, and you're going to have less PTO, more higher productivity, more people are going to stay in your company if you invest in their health and wellness. And ChristineLaVopa.com, we are doing a retreat in October. Jesse and I, you can come. I'm really pumped about this. And I didn't even have any coffee. That's the good thing about health and wellness. You're full of energy. So you can find us. Jesse, can you give some of this away? It's going to be in
October 24th to 27th.
Yep, in Georgia. And we are going all out. We are talking about all things health and wellness, how to position yourself, how to position your brand photo shoots. We're going to be workouts. I'm going to show you how to meal prep in 5 minutes or less. And we are going to do all of the things. I know, it's crazy. Yes. But Jesse, what else can you add here?
We're going to build sustainable brand strategies for you, your personal brand strategy. So like, yes, just go post and spray and pray. No, that's not what you want to be doing. If you want to get the job of your dreams, or if you're running your own business, you want to sell more, you want to figure out your goals, your vision, what you want to be known for, and how do we write about those things 1,000 different ways in video and different mediums. So we will be getting into your marketing. Yes. So I told you about app.reveting.com. So anyone who comes to the retreat will get access to app.reveting.com, and we can give you snapshots of landing pages and other technology that you can then just go plug and play and start your own like masterclass or whatever it is that you're working on. It'll all be there within app.reveting.com. So more on that, but just visit retreat.reveting.com/2025. Andrew, sorry to throw you in on all this retreat stuff. Thank you for being a trooper.
He's like, what happened here? I'm also going to be doing a mastermind for health and fitness coaches, any kind of health coach, to position yourself on LinkedIn too. So check out, that's coming down the pipe, because we all have a seat at this table and you can sit with us.
Yes. Cool. Thank you so much. And next week, we've got Ken John Miyachi and Scott Ramey, who I'm looking forward to having both of them on. I'm sure I said Ken's last name wrong. Ken, you can correct me next week, but looking forward to having you on. And again, Andrew and Christine, thank you for coming on.
Thank you.
And talking about just really interesting and different topics. It was a fun conversation. Have a great Wednesday, everyone. Go out and win. Bye.